You had my curiosity. Now you have my attention.
Claire, I'm not standing here asking you to marry me. I'm just asking you not to marry him.
Ghostbusters, what do you want?
We're fighting an army of robots. And I have a bow and arrow.
Top news stories of the week. Time to find out once again with Megan Olson and News of the Week on the Al Travis Show.
I've got her Megan Olson, News of the Week. Megan, I'm just going to go out on a limb here that the top 5 news stories that we've just discussed today will all have to do with what happened over the weekend.
Yeah.
Blown out of the water.
Crazy weekend. We've talked about a lot of crazy Minnesota news on this show, but this takes the top of the cake.
Proverbial cake, yeah.
This is the crazy story. I mean, very quickly advancing. News broke, obviously, Friday, if folks haven't heard. A couple of lawmakers were
that would have been Saturday morning, right?
Saturday morning, yes.
Friday night, Saturday morning, yes, okay.
Yeah, so
sorry.
Early Saturday morning at 2 a.m., cops were called to a lawmaker's home. Initial reports were just saying it's maybe a senator's home. We didn't really know who. A couple hours later, we're getting some names out there. Senator Hoffman, Representative Melissa Hortman, who is also the Speaker Emeritus of the Minnesota House. Things developed very quickly. We soon learned that Melissa Hortman and her husband were both shot and killed. Senator Hoffman and his wife were both severely injured, I believe 9 and 8 respective gunshot wounds. Single sole actor of a guy. His name is Vance Bolter. I mean, we had this massive chase. This is the largest police chase in Minnesota history. For this guy, he fled all the way down to Green Isle, Minnesota, which is where he's from, was hiding in a field. They did end up finding him, and then even more disturbing, found out that night, or I guess early morning, he had visited 2 other lawmakers' homes and had a list of about 45 Minnesota lawmakers and elected officials that he was planning to pay a visit to, posing as a police officer. That's the gist of it. Really,
thank you. That's putting a very long weekend into a minute. As we find out the things that happened and how they worked, I mean, the bullet points, you hit it. The Hortmans are deceased. The Hoffmans are in terrible pain and surgeries, and we have yet to hear from John. That's the big picture. They did find the guy. That's all great. But as we get going, we find out, what do you know? He stopped at 2 others, as I understand it. One was not in town. So it was like knocking on the door, nothing happened. The other one, I believe it was Rest. I'm looking for
Senator Rest, yep.
Senator Rest. She was home, but the weird thing about that one, and, God works in mysterious ways, he's parked outside
Never
her
made
home.
it to the door.
Then another police officer happens to be driving by because the world's going to heck. All cops are coming all over. And he, quote unquote, I get chickened out. He didn't go to the door. He moved on, but he was outside her house. Those 2 got to be thinking they're lucky stars today.
Well, and what's weird about, now we're finally getting the details and trying to figure out, what was the motive? Why did this happen? And the details that are coming out, and it's coming from the feds because this has now been taken over by the FBI, was that he was parked outside Senator Rust's house, and there was a police officer that did roll by, saw his car, and was like, oh, it's another police officer. Let me go check in. Tried to speak with him. He was just staring blankly at the road in front of him, didn't really respond. And that officer left. Didn't think anything else of it. Didn't check credentials. I don't know. Like that part isn't really sitting quite right with me.
I read the 20-count indictment, the 20-page indictment thing, and they describe how these things happen. And I don't know the cop that drove by. You either have this intuition or you don't. As I get it, they're calls to Champlin. So if you're doing the math, Yvette's shot 8 times. John has shot 9. That's 17 rounds. If you look at the picture of the front door, there are 10 more bullet holes. 27 rounds, right? Shot. Someone in the area, and thank you, by the way, here's this. This isn't normal for Champlin. They call the cops. Brooklyn Park police come with because, it's only 6 miles away, and, hey, there's shots fired. They come, and as soon as they find out this is Senator Hoffman, Brooklyn Center guy's like, well, wait a minute. We have, Hortman just down the road, and he called to get backup. This guy's intuition is like spot on. And gal, Yeah, thank you. And brilliant call, because that sends those police officers that get everything going. This other person who drove by the suspect was fooled enough. Oh, that's a cop. Got stuff on his mind. I don't want to bother him. I don't know what it is.
I would think like my radar would go up when I'm trying to speak to this person and they're not responding to me.
But it's a
That
cop.
would be an
Yeah.
indication something weird is happening.
It is. I don't, but that's my point, is some have it, some don't. As I understand it now, reading that thing and looking at the photos, the cops that showed up to the Hortman home, he was outside at the moment, went in and then shot. So they pull up, they see the backside of him is a cop looking in,
Like,
in the
kinda
windows.
lit a fire under Bolter's butt of like, I have
Yeah.
to,
I got to do her now.
continue doing what I'm doing because I can't go backwards to my car.
Yeah.
'Cause that's where the other cops are.
But these two cops pull up and they're like, oh, somebody got here before us. I mean, you can see a cop thinking, you don't roll out shooting other cops. You roll out, hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
He busts in the door, starts doing the shooting, comes out and shoots at them. It's a gunfire. I don't know what that intuition again. You want the best in people. That gal or guy, whatever, the cop that drove by, oh, lots going on here. He's getting his head squared. I'm going to keep moving. You in your head fix it that isn't the bad guy. These two cops go up to the Hortman's house. The bad guy's outside the door, dressed like a cop, looks like us. What do we know? He's got the vest on. He got here before us. You want, and that's that 2-3 seconds it takes to make the difference. Then the shooting goes on. The part that I am highly interested in now, everybody else wants motive. How does a guy get from Brooklyn Park to Green Isle on foot?
And that's there is a witness who I believe is saying anonymous at this point in time, but they must be a worker at this particular place. It sounds like Bolter tried to buy an electronic bike and potentially even a Buick in North Minneapolis at 7 a.m. So this all happened at 2 a.m. So here we are 5 hours later. He somehow maybe walked to North Minneapolis, tried to get a vehicle, something that he could use to get down to Green Isle. I'm the timeline, he walked the whole way.
Oh, wow. And you probably could, but they found a car, his second car. So he walked, I get it. I presume he'd already changed clothes. I doubt you're standing in the parking lot of some place and a cop shows up and says, can I buy your e-bike? I mean, that.
Yeah.
And
he
then,
had a full mask on when all of this happened too. So no one knows who this guy is, what happened. Like most of Minnesota's in the dark at this point.
Somewhere he gets to his apartment place that he was living, and I don't get that situation because he's a married guy, but there he got his other car, and I think that's how he got to Green Isle. And my point being is this is all going to come out. We're going to figure out how a guy evades that massive manhunt for 2 days. Now, I'm giving the police all the credit in the world. And timing, back to God doing things. If this were a month later, the corn's going to be yay high, and you're not going to find him with yes, you're not finding him with the drone thing. The other thing is, good gosh, where we're at with this technology. They had as I got it, Mr. Alan Hortman is at the front door. He's not passed. So when they're trying to get the guy who's in a shootout, he's in the house. Yeah. They start working on him to get him to protection. And that's when the bad guy gets to flee. Then they go in. They sent a drone into that house. How many cop cars got drones sitting in?
They can clear a house.
Yeah.
It is crazy.
Good for them. And then, of course, even Faribault County, by the way, I throw this out because I read it. Faribault County's folks were there helping and assisting in the Green Isle area with their drone camera.
Law enforcement agencies from Lakeville, Farmington, we had SWAT, we had like all of these law enforcement agencies coming together. I mean, this was the largest manhunt in Minnesota's history. They needed all hands on deck, but yeah.
It was absolutely crazy. I'd like to go to break and just, you and I are much different age groups, much different history. I'd like to talk to you about, and I did this with Spinny a little earlier, what do you think your generation feels about what happened? And I don't just mean as tragedies, but how we got there and that sort of thing. I want to talk it over with Megan. Megan's News and Review right here on the Al Travis Show.
Achieving your financial goals requires individual planning and a comprehensive approach. At Midwest Money Management, our mission is to provide you with the knowledge, tools, and confidence to feel comfortable financially today and secure about tomorrow. Learn more at MidwestMoneyManagement.com. That's MidwestMoneyManagement.com.
Securities offered through JW Cole Financial Inc., member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services offered through JW Cole Advisors Inc., Midwest Money Management, and JW Cole Financial Inc. and JW Cole Advisors Inc. are unaffiliated entities.
All the special interests are represented in St. Paul. But who speaks for you? Center of the American Experiment does. Our policy fellows dig into the tough issues that matter to you and offer common sense solutions on education, taxes, crime, and energy. American Experiment is the trusted, nonpartisan voice of Minnesotans like you. We are working every day to make Minnesota a better, safer, more prosperous place. We are American Experiment. Go to americanexperiment.org to learn more.
Easily offended? The Al Travis Show is not for you. The Al Travis Show. All sides are welcome.
Not to put Megan in a box here, but I'd like to talk about her generation. She can talk for the whole generation. The problem you're going to have with it, I get, because of what you do and how we do this. You know many lawmakers, so this probably hits you a little squarer than maybe some others that just play softball on Thursdays. So it's not on you. The drone thing was amazing to me, how cops can use that for their benefit. The other one was within minutes of them figuring out something was going on. And I don't know, the Verizon lady, the answer lady at the Verizon was the first person to know what's going on because they put I guess everyone's phone went off and said, you're locked down, stay inside. Mm-hmm. We wouldn't have had that in my generation. I mean, that the use of technology was brilliant by the cops. Then once they figured out that it was a guy dressed as a cop, they could go to the door and still get in. They send another all call or whatever Verizon calls it. Hey, don't answer the door unless there's two of us. There has to be two of us. Again, brilliant by the cops how quickly that didn't happen 40 years ago. I'm just saying not that we weren't that smart. We didn't have the ability. So I'm saying we've used technology for good. But on the other side, we had crazy people in my day. Ronald Reagan got shot by a crazy people. We had crazy people. I think they're either more emboldened, they think they're more right because they can get the feedback they need on their X or their whatever. Do you think
what I was going to say is the difference between technology and social media. And I think social media has definitely created a culture and where everyone thinks that, well, my opinion is the most important and what I have to say is right and true. And I have X number of followers. They all believe me. And what we saw from this over the weekend is grifters and influencers from DC and other states basically making their own assumptions or hypothesizing on this guy's motive and really just
Yeah.
muddying the waters and making it a horrible, disgusting mess, which was totally uncalled for. I think social media is definitely at the root here. I think it's a great tool, but it's also very easily abused. And I think it
Uh,
really has created this culture and where people feel like, well, what I say is the best and it's better than everyone else. And you know what? That's just not the case.
I'm not tied into all that stuff. I try to follow along, but I don't care. Getting one of the social media things said these two right-wing influencers with 1 million followers, and I read the name like, I don't know who in the world that cat is.
Yeah.
Who in the world are you? I don't care what you think. What drives me a little nuts, Megan, is that we care. Someone shot Trump. I think he's a lunatic. All left-wingers aren't lunatics. And this guy sprung a leak. Somebody shot these two people, whether he's a right-wing knucklehead or a left-wing knucklehead. I really don't care. He sprung a leak. We got to fix the problem with that, and I don't know how, but my point is, well, see, it was a right-winger. How does that answer your question? How's that?
Well,
Use
and
a
I mean,
lefty.
it's just the nature of human behavior is we want justification, we want rationale, we want to know why things happen the way that they happen. And so, of course, we're all naturally going to speculate and have our theories, and that's one thing. Putting it on the internet and
Thank you.
harming other lawmakers. We saw this super impactful photo yesterday of Senator Tina Smith confronting Mike Lee, I believe it was, who was just
out of Utah.
tweeting some very awful things over the weekend. And
But back to this, you
things
guys
that
and
are
your
left unsaid.
technology. This could have happened 40 years ago when I'm your age, and the guy from Utah could say anything he wants. The local paper might have figured it out, and maybe someone there saw it, but Al in Minnesota never would have saw it. There's something, and again, it's good news, bad news. There's something, the ability that a Utah guy can tee the heck out of Smith, and then this fight goes on, when in reality, it makes no never mind. I don't know the Utah Mike Lee. Hell with him. I don't care. Stop. So there's something to it. And then on this, and I'm going to send you out with this, we've got to, and not this week, we need to bury the Hortmans. We need to figure out some stuff. But very quickly, it's going to come up to the process now. We might have another special session. They were talking about that. Well, we're going to have a special election before we have a special session, as far as I can tell now. There's some processes that we need to go through. I will say I was stunned, and I want your thoughts on this, when I heard that the Senator Mitchell trial was going to be postponed because of this. Now, I read this story this morning, and it changed my mind completely. When the judge said to do this, they hadn't caught the guy yet. And her name supposedly was on the hit list, the list of people.
Yep.
And that could be hugely prejudicial one way or the other to these jurors that they haven't even picked yet. And I thought to myself, it's kind of a good point. So I guess now I'm okay with it. I mean, let's not get this thing into August, September, or whenever the special session comes, because we're right back in this box. But there are processes we need to do. Are you able to figure that out for us, where we go from here? I mean, next week,
it's
week
hard
after?
for me to even get in that headspace so soon.
I know.
It's something. I guess the timing is good now. A special session is over. We don't go back into session until January. Take it one day.
But that was my point. The story we hit on Friday was the governor was thinking that if, and I don't know what it was, the federal government cuts education spending because they're not doing DI and whatever, it's $800 million. We might need another special session to fix that. Literally, we were talking about that on Friday. And now that's the only reason in my head.
Yeah.
If that happens, she was the Speaker Emeritus.
I mean, I think we still have like a 3-week runway of like posting a special session or a special election anyways. And we would need a primary before that. I mean, it's a solid Democrat seat, but yeah, I think Walz is going to at least give it another week or so, give Hortman's family some time to arrange for things. And the good thing is there have been 2 GoFundMes out there for the Hortmans, son and daughter, and then also for the Hoffmans. Yeah. They have raised so much money. So it's great to see Minnesota coming together in that way and supporting and helping to move on. But yeah, special session and kind of the logistics, it's hard for me to think about that.
No, I understand. But at some point, this has to shift because there's going to be work to get done. But we don't even need it now. And if you're going to be calling ourselves Minnesota Nice, stop it, people. Get off the X. Get off the Facebook. Stop thinking your little mind.
Human in person.
Thank you, Megan. Megan's News and Review. Appreciate you.
Yes, thanks for having me on. We'll be back next week to talk about the top Minnesota news stories of the week with Megan's News and Review on the Al Travis Show.